additional allocation to upgrade East-West Highway. Progressive wage policy approved. Details to be tabled in Budget 2024. Well, good evening and salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, the cockpit voice recorder, or CVR, of the aircraft that crashed onto the Guthrie Corridor Expressway near Bandar Elmina Shah Alam last Thursday has been sent to its manufacturer in Florida, United States, to retrieve the last 30 minutes of its audio data before the crash for analysis. Now, Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the CVR was initially sent for analysis at a laboratory in Singapore last Saturday, but there were technical issues and limitations that prevented the retrieval of the audio recording.
Sebab kita memerlukan visa, kelulusan visa daripada Kedutaan Amerika Syarikat untuk ketua BSKU terbang ke Florida, dan beliau akan lepas pada 7 petang nanti. Okey, pada hari ini juga akan berlepas sebab visa baru didapat pada pagi tadi. Okey, kita akan menghantar beliau pada 7 petang ini untuk berlepas ke Amerika Syarikat, dan beliau jangka berada di Amerika Syarikat selama beberapa hari. Dan memang segala persiapan dan juga perancangan telah dibuat dengan pihak OEM, dan dijangkakan mereka akan dapat masuk ke makmal bersama dengan memory park tersebut untuk melaksanakan analisa terhadap memory park tersebut pada pagi Isnin hadapan.
Loke said he was also given assurances that the preliminary crash report will be ready within 30 days of the 17 August crash. He urged all quarters to be patient and not speculate about the crash, while giving AAIB the time to retrieve, gather and complete the report. Well, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has announced an additional allocation of 30 million ringgit for upgrading the East-West Highway linking Gerik to Jeli. The allocation is for the one-off maintenance cost of the highway, estimated at 80 million ringgit to 100 million ringgit.
Hari ini untuk jalan-jalan ni, walaupun permintaan tu banyak, tak apa, nanti saya akan kaji dalam belanjawan madani kedua bulan Oktober. Tapi hari ini saya boleh lulus tambahan 30 juta ringgit lagi untuk baiki jalan.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this when launching the My Jalan campaign of the Works Ministry today. He also said this year the government had approved additional allocations totaling 370 million ringgit for the maintenance of federal roads throughout the country. Well, a parachute performance that will grace the skies of Putrajaya is set to become the highlight of this year's National Day celebration. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadil said it would be presented by the Royal Malaysia Police VAT 69 Commandos.
Tahun ni kita minta Kementerian Perpaduan untuk usahakan satu slot yang khas. Jadi yang ni dia akan menonjolkan aspek perpaduan ya di kalangan rakyat. Ini menjunjung titah Tuanku Yang di-Pertuan Agong dan juga Tuanku Timbalan Yang di-Pertuan Agong, menegaskan kita perlu pupuk perpaduan di kalangan masyarakat.
He said preparations for the National Day 2023 celebration themed Malaysia Madani, Tekat Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan, to be held at Dataran Putrajaya were going well. The public are advised to go early to avoid traffic congestion by either taking their own vehicle or using public transport services. Shuttle buses will be available, and more information about public transport services to Dataran Putrajaya on the day can be obtained through the Merdeka360.my website. Well, the Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia SPM 2023 examination is scheduled to take place from 5th December this year until 7th March 2024. Well, the Education Ministry in a post on Facebook today said the science practical test will be held from 5th to the 7th of December, followed by the Bahasa Melayu oral test from 8th to 11th January and the English language oral tests from 17th to 23rd January. It said that the listening tests for both Bahasa Melayu and English language will be held on 29th 29th January. Now, the written tests are scheduled for 30th January to 7th March. Now, it said the SVM 2023 examination timetable takes into account all aspects, including the number of school days as well as federal and state public holidays. Well, a total of 4.31 million litres of diesel worth 9.23 million ringgit have been seized through Optiris from the period of 1st March until yesterday. Now, the seizures were from 10,351 inspections conducted nationwide, with 459 cases recorded and investigated under the Control of Supplies Regulations 1974 and the Control of Supplies Act 1961.
Dan kes ini pula sama ada 234 kes melalui KPDN sendiri dan sebanyak 225 kes serahan yang disebutkan daripada agensi-agensi yang lain, NPMM, PDRM, PGA dan juga PPM. Dan keseluruhan termasuk rampasan kepada aset-aset yang terlibat juga telah melibatkan jumlah keseluruhan aset dan aset-aset adalah ringgit Malaysia 34.47 juta.
Dato' Armizan also announced that the Optiris, which was supposed to end on 31st August, has been extended until 31st December. He said Optiris Phase 2.0 will focus on comprehensive investigations covering the entire chain from the source of purchase to illegal buyers. Thai Premier vows 4 years of change. That and more coming up in our foreign segment. Stay tuned. Well, Thailand's new Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin vowed to bring 4 years of change to the kingdom as he took office at the head of a controversial coalition, including pro-military parties linked to former coup makers. Now, the 61-year-old was confirmed by parliamentary vote on Tuesday, just hours after Thaksin returned to the kingdom from 15 years of exile and was immediately jailed on all graft charges. Srettha received King Maha Vajiralongkorn's official written command to form a government in a ceremony at Pheu Thai headquarters. Outgoing Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, a former army chief who overthrew the last Pheu Thai government in a coup, congratulated Srettha and wished him luck. Prayut suffered a heavy defeat in May's polls as the upstart Progressive Move Forward Party, or MFP, rode a wave of youth and urban discontent with nearly a decade of military-backed rule to win the most seats. Now, but MFP's push to reform royal insult laws and take on powerful vested business interests spooked the kingdom's elite and saw leader Peter Limjaroenrat blocked from becoming prime minister. Despite winning the most seats, the party will sit in opposition, and Peter said the coalition, quote, contradicted the wishes of the people, unquote. Well, Japan started releasing treated radioactive water from the wrecked Fukushima nuclear power plant into the Pacific Ocean, a polarizing move that prompted China to announce an immediate blanket ban on all seafood imports from Japan. Well, aerial footage filmed from a helicopter shows the crippled plant and rows of tanks filled with treated water ready to be released into the ocean. Signed off 2 years ago by the Japanese government and approved by the UN nuclear watchdog last month, the discharge is a key step in a dauntingly long and difficult process of decommissioning the Fukushima Daiichi plant after it was destroyed by a tsunami. Plant operator Tokyo Electric Power, or also known as TEPCO, said the release began at 1:03 p.m. local time, and it had not identified any abnormalities with the seawater pump or surrounding facilities. Now, with around 1,000 steel containers holding the water, TEPCO has said it needs to clear space for the removal of highly dangerous radioactive nuclear fuel and rubble from the wrecked reactors. Now, since the earthquake, TEPCO has collected 1.34 million cubic meters of water contaminated as it cooled the wrecked reactors, along with groundwater and rain that has seeped in. Now, TEPCO will carry out 4 releases of the treated water from today until March 2024, and the first discharge will take about 17 days. Well, 4 people, including a gunman, were killed in a shooting at a biker's bar in California's Orange County. Well, the Orange County Sheriff said in a post on X, which is formerly known as Twitter, 6 more people were in a hospital after the shooter opened fire at the Cook's Corner Bar in Tabuco Canyon. Now, aerial footage carried by local television showed dozens of police and emergency vehicles parked at the scene of the crime yesterday evening. Media reported the shooting at the historic biker's bar that a retired law enforcement officer opened fire at the bar. Well, according to sources, that the shooter had been shot by the deputies. Now, the sheriff's office, however, has not released any details about the shooter or how he was killed. Coming up in sports, Zhejiang advances while Ziyong crashes out in Copenhagen. Well, national top men's singles shuttler Li Zijia put up another resilient performance at the ongoing World Championships in Copenhagen, Denmark, while Ziyong crashed out. Zijia, ranked 13 in the world, ensured his place into the last 16 round after disposing of Canadian Brian Yang 21-11, 21-16 in the second round after a 33-minute match at the Royal Arena early today. He also said that he was happy to be calm on court and he is enjoying the whole environment of the tournament and is determined to keep pushing forward. However, Ziyong's second World Championship outing came to a halt as early as the second round after going down fighting against the 12-seed Anders Antonsen of Denmark 24-22, 21-16 to crash the hopes of having an all-Malaysian affair in the last 16. Zijia is set to challenge Antonsen in the battle for a quarterfinals berth. The Dane said he will try to keep working hard and is confident as he is capable of winning in close situations, and there is a lot of positives that can be taken from the game against Ziyong.
This time, Anders Antonsen.
Well, young race driver Muhammad Hakim Danish Ramli has been chosen as the recipient of the Best Young Athlete Award to be presented at the Sports Writers Association of Malaysia, or SAM 100 Plus 2022 Awards ceremony on 29th August. SAM Vice President Hazreen Mubarak said the consistency and success of Muhammad Hakim, or better known as Hakim Danish, in emerging as the overall champion of the Asia Talent Cup, or ATC 2022, was the main factor in selecting the 16-year-old for the award. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Karate Federation, or MAKAF, have been named the most dynamic sports association for a second time since 2014, thanks to their leadership credibility, success gained, and determination to enhance the quality of the sport. Besides these 2 awards, other awards to be given out at the glittering ceremony include Popular Sports Commentator, Leadership, Best Athlete, Best Para-Athlete, and 100 Plus Outdo Yourself. Now, this year's edition will also recognize the contributions of sports media practitioners who stand the chance to take home a total cash prize of over 50,000 ringgit. The award is divided into 6 categories, namely Best News Report for print media, Best News Report, electronic media, Best News Review, print media, Best News Review, electronic media, Best Special Report, open, and Best Sports Photography. Well, my dear viewers, Malaysia Tonight on TV1 will now conclude to make way for the 63rd edition of the International Al-Quran Recital and Memorization Assembly. Our bulletin resumes on MyTV's Berita RTM channel, or you can also watch us on RTM Click and our YouTube live stream.
Melaksanakan pembaharuan supaya Malaysia dapat tergolong antara 12 ekonomi terbaik di dunia dari segi daya saing dan ease of doing business. Maka seharusnya diwar-warkan ke seluruh pelosok dunia bahawa Malaysia terbuka dan bersedia menerima kehadiran para pelabur dan peniaga.
Well, the national men's diving team must take advantage of the centralized training center in Sichuan, China, by mastering new routines with higher levels of difficulty if they want to put up a fighting display at the 2022 Asian Games in Hangzhou, China in September. National Assistant Coach Dato Leong Mun Yi, however, admitted that it won't be an easy task for all 7 male divers who will be competing in the ASEAN, as they only have about 4 Rodriguez, Enrique McCartney-Harold, Gabriel Gilbert Daim, Jelson Jabilin, Hanis Nazirul Jaya Surya, and Muhammad Shafiq Pute. Dato Pandalila Rinong, Kimberly Bongkian, Ng Yan Yi, Nurdabita Sabri, and Ong Ker Ying make up the women's team. Well, coming up next in our business segment, Sime Darby acquires UMW Holdings from Permodalan Nasional Berhad. Well, the progressive wage system policy has been approved at the cabinet level, and the details will be tabled during the upcoming budget 2024 in October. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said the system is expected to be implemented in April or May next year, hence the reason why the policy has to be included in the budget tabling.
The policy has been approved in terms of the principle and the approach. Then we have to go through a series of processes, including bring it down to all the stakeholders. We also have to see, at what level do we want to come in. When I say level, I mean at what coverage, at what specific groups, and that obviously will translate into what kind of financial commitment the government has to make. But the Prime Minister gave an indication of some numbers, but we'll go through the budget process.
The minister was met after the signing ceremony of the Executive Digital Leadership Program in Kuala Lumpur. Well, he said the government puts more focus on the development of states during the budget in an effort to bridge the economic development gap between states in Malaysia. Budget 2024 has been scheduled for tabling in Parliament on 13th October. Well, Sime Darby Berhad today announced that it has entered into a conditional share purchase agreement with Permodalan Nasional Berhad, or PNB, to acquire PNB's 61.2% stake in UMW Holdings Berhad to further scale up and strengthen its presence in the Malaysian automotive sector. Now, in a statement today, Sime Darby said it will purchase PNB's 61.2% stake for a total cash consideration of 3.57 billion ringgit, or 5 ringgit per share. Now, once the agreement becomes unconditional, Sime Darby will be making a general offer for the remaining 38.8% stake that it does not hold, with the aim of delisting UMW from Bursa Malaysia. Well, according to its Group Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Jeffrey Salim Davidson, the deal will cement Sime Darby's position as Malaysia's leading automotive player. The acquisition is accretive to Sime Darby's earnings per share and will enhance Sime Darby's shareholders' return. Well, Sime Darby expects the acquisition of PNB's stake to be completed within 3 months from the date of SPA, subject to regulatory and shareholders' approvals and customary closing conditions. Meanwhile, PNB said the proposed consolidation of UMW and Sime Darby is driven by the opportunities to strengthen local and regional presence in the automotive sector while providing a boost to the electrification agenda. Now, the fund management company said the strategic move is also in alignment with the government's new Industrial Master Plan 2030, which will support the automotive sector's further growth, especially in positioning the country as the automotive hub for the region. Well, the Securities Commission Malaysia SC is exploring the establishment of the Islamic Social Exchange to strengthen environmental, social and corporate governance, or ESG programs, especially to support the poor and the needy. Now, Chairman Dato Sri Dr. Awan Agadek Hussein said, with such a wide and extensive list of Sharia financial products available at the moment, ultimately the focus must shift towards assessing the impact and effectiveness of the channels in realizing the goals of Islamic finance. Well, he said such goals include building a stakeholder economy that supports fairness and addresses issues such as poverty and financial inclusion. Dato Sri Dr. Awang Adik said the SC is planning to launch a principles-based Maqasid al-Sharia guidance before year-end to promote greater alignment of Islamic capital market initiatives to Sharia objectives. Well, he added that the SC has taken on its stewardship role to issue the Corporate Governance Strategic Priorities 2021-2023 CG Strategic Priorities to promote ESG fitness and leadership of boards in listed companies. The Malacca state government aims to set up new industrial zones to ensure the investment and industrial sector's continued growth and turn Malacca into an investor-friendly state. Well, Chief Minister Datuk Seri Abdul Rauf Yusof said they would encourage private sector participation to attract high-quality investments, prioritize existing fields, and new growth in those with high added value. In addition, he said new industrial zones will be developed across Malacca, such as the 2,023-hectare M-Corp High-Tech Park project in Masjid Tanah, the expansion of the LK Industrial Area in Lipat Kajang, Jasin, and the 809.4-hectare industrial area in the MWIS Economic Corridor. Now, Datuk Seri Abdul Rauf said Invest Malacca Berhad would be tasked with forming the Malacca State Investment Advisory Committee to facilitate all investment-related matters. He added that the state had managed to achieve its targets of attracting a total of 8.6 billion ringgit in foreign direct and domestic investments last year, the highest total compared to previous years. He also announced that the state government managed to implement 111 out of 180 initiatives, or 62%, with another 69 currently ongoing. Chinese President Xi Jinping called on the BRICS group to enhance cooperation across the board, build a high-quality partnership and help reform global governance to make it more just and equitable when addressing the 15th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg. Now, in his keynote speech at the summit, Xi pointed out the world has entered a new period of turbulence and transformation and is undergoing major shifts, division and regrouping. Well, Xi said, as an important force in shaping the international landscape, BRICS countries choose their development paths independently, jointly defend their right to development and march in tandem towards modernization, which represent the direction of the advancement of human society and will profoundly impact the development process of the world. The president also announced China will set up a China BRICS Science and Innovation Incubation Park for the new era and explore the establishment of a BRICS Global Remote Sensing Satellite Data and Application Cooperation Platform to provide data support for agriculture, ecological conservation and disaster reduction in various countries, among others. Well, BRICS, an emerging market group comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, boasts approximately 40% of the global population and about 25% of the global economy. On another note, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa announced that the BRICS Club of Emerging Nations will admit 6 new members, including Saudi Arabia, UAE and Iran, at the start of next year. Well, I said the club decided to invite the Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to become full members of BRICS. The membership will take effect from the 1st of January 2024. Well, calls to enlarge the BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, had dominated the agenda at its 3-day summit and exposed divisions among the bloc over the pace and criteria for admitting new members. But the group, which makes decisions by consensus, had agreed on, quote, the guiding principles, standards, criteria and procedures of the BRICS expansion process, unquote. Now, nearly 24 countries had formally applied to join the club, which represents a quarter of the global economy and more than 3 billion people. Now, some 50 other heads of state and government are attending the summit in Johannesburg, which concludes today. Well, the new Development Bank, or NDB, a multilateral development institution of the BRICS countries, has registered a total subscription exceeding 2.5 billion rand, or about $134.6 million to its firstborn issuance of 1.5 billion rand in South Africa in mid-August, which is a successful milestone. Now, Leslie Warren Masdorp, Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of the NDB, called the bond issuance a remarkable success that sets a benchmark for the bank's future local currency bond issuances. Elaborating further, Warren said the ongoing 15 BRICS summit in Johannesburg serves as a pivotal platform for discussing the expansion of the NDB's membership, and the NDB is looking forward to establishing collaborations in the financial sector with more African nations. Another key topic at the BRICS summit this year is accelerating the development of the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AFCFTA. Now, with the continuous advancement of the free trade area, cross-border transactions have increased among countries, prompting African nations to actively promote their own payment settlement systems. Now, Secretary General of AFCFTA, Wamkele Mene, said with the introduction of the digital technology, the Pan-African payments and settlement systems will ensure that anyone who's trading in Africa can trade in local currency. Australia has dangled easier access to its vast critical mineral sector as part of negotiations over a free trade agreement with the European Union ahead of a possible further round of talks as soon as next week, and trade ministers said on Thursday. Negotiations between Australia and the 450 million person bloc stalled in July, partly over the issue of greater market access for Australian farm products like beef. Australian Trade Minister Don Farrell told Reuters a free trade agreement would simplify European investment in the country's burgeoning critical mineral sector, in part by smoothing access through mandatory Foreign Investment Review Board, or FIRB, screening.
You know, one of the big advantages we've got in this relationship is our access to critical minerals, rare earths, hydrogen and ammonia. Australia intends to become a renewable superpower. In the past, we've been described as the lucky country. Well, we're lucky again. We've got all of these resources, or capable of producing all of these resources in a cost-effective way in Australia. We want the Europeans to be partners in that, but they've got to give us a better offer.
Farrell said he expected to hold teleconference talks with his counterpart EU Commissioner for Trade, Valdis Dombrovskis, within the next week, and he had also invited Dombrovskis to Australia. Well, Australia's flagship Qantas Airways Limited posted huge profits today, boosted by the return of robust travel demand in the post-pandemic era. In an effort to enhance customer experience, the country's flagship carrier announced an order for 24 wide-body aircraft, the final piece of the company's jet fleet renewal program, allowing the airline to continue investing in fleet expansion.
This is a remarkable turnaround, 3 years in the making, and it's been hard. From being 11 weeks shy of insolvency to a challenging return to flying across the industry, to finally getting back to the leading domestic operational performance. And it is an absolute credit to the resilience and hard work of our people, the patience and the understanding of our customers, and the support of our shareholders.
And that wraps up Malaysia Tonight. A reminder of our top story: additional allocation to upgrade East-West Highway. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos, Malaysia Madani, Tekat Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan. Have a pleasant evening.